Hello students, this is Siddharth Mehta. I am creator and mentor CR Nuggets for law exams. Now many students have asked me to discuss mock number 51, that is LST mock number 51 based on CLAT, particularly the English section. So what I thought of is why can't I pick up the most difficult passage of the English section and prepare a video on it, how to solve that difficult passage. So I have picked up one passage from the mock and I have discussed how to solve that passage. So let us begin. Uh, Now this is the passage. Just a minute. So now you will be having a fair view of the passage. This was the first passage of the mock number 51, the LST mock number 51. You can stop your video here. You can read the entire screen. You can give 2-3 minutes time, 4 minutes time, whatever time you feel like. You stop the video, go through this passage, and then we will discuss it, how to solve the questions of such difficult passage. Right. So I'm sure that you must have read the passage before proceeding further. If not, please do so. Only then you will be able to appreciate what I am saying. But let me explain how to approach this kind of passage. Now, frankly, when I read this passage for the first time, uh, I found it very difficult. Let me be very honest with you. I found it very difficult. Now, when such difficult passage comes in front of me, what do? I do one simple thing. First and foremost, I go and check the questions. So these are the questions. I only look at the questions, not at the options. So the first question talks about, according to the information in the passage, each of the following is an accurate statement about Kant's theory of art. So I got the clue that from where this part of the question, this question is picked up from. The second is, which one of the following statement about scattered pebbles is best supported? So there was a particular area in the passage when I read for the first time where scattered pebbles was mentioned. So can I answer that by focusing on that area? Then which one of the following is the primary purpose of the passage, the author's attitude? So third and fourth, both are basically asking, both are same. I mean, if I can identify the primary purpose, I can also identify what is his overall attitude. And fifth is about the cognitive in the last paragraph means. So at least now I have idea that, okay, I need to focus on these parts more. But there is one question on main idea. So I also need to understand what is the main idea of the passage. So key thing to understand is that if you come across hostile passage, a difficult passage, you can have a look at the questions. So that will help you to understand that what are the areas that you need to focus more. Remember, don't do it always, but in the hostile passages, you can do so. Right. That is what my approach is. Then again, your approach may differ. So now let us see what the passage talks about. Okay. So this was the entire passage. Okay, now let us read. Aesthetics in this central sense has been said to start in the early 18th century with the series of articles on this, which the journalist Joseph Edison wrote in the early issues of the magazine The Spectator 1712. Now understand, guys, in this entire first line, the first line is very important. Lot of useless information is given to me. When I am trying to find out what is the main idea of the passage, of a difficult passage, I will clear the mess. I will remove all the things that are not required. Now, if you reread it again, right? If you reread it again, you will find that a lot of information is not required. Aesthetics in this central sense. So the passage is discussing about aesthetics, that is clear. In this central sense has been said to start in early 18th century with the series of articles on this. Is the name of this article necessary? Is the name of this person necessary? Is the name of the magazine necessary? No, they are not. They are not necessary because I've already seen the question is not asked from these areas. So all I need to know is that aesthetics in this sense has been discussed in was first discussed in early 18th century. Now before this time, this is important. Before this time, thoughts by notable figures made some forays in this ground. So before this time, there was some discussion. For instance, is an example. I can skip this. For instance, is an example. I can skip this part. So this is an example of what he's saying, that there were only slight or a slight discussion on this particular topic. Then it says that before this time there was slight discussion, but the full development of extended philosophical reflection on aesthetics, again irrelevant terms, but the full development on aesthetics did not begin to emerge until the widening of leisure activities in 18th century. Again useless terms. So till this point, if you see what it is talking about, it aesthetics, the discussion on aesthetics started around 18th century. Before that, not there were few who discussed, but the significant discussion started happening in the 18th century. Look at this. How much irrelevant things have been written, and we get daunted by these things. So when you are trying to identify the main idea, these things become irrelevant. We have also seen the question, none of the question is being asked from this area, so we are pretty safe in saying that this is not required. By far most of the thoroughgoing and influential of early theorist was Immanuel Kant. Now I know that he will talk about Kant, that what he has done towards the end of 18th century. So he said that he is the most significant figure on this. Therefore it is important first of all to have some sense of how Kant approached the subject. Again, he's saying that he was the most important figure. Let us understand the subject from his point of view. Now begins the important thing, that what he believed about aesthetics. He says that Kant is sometimes thought of as a formalist in art theory. Again, I can anticipate that if he is using that he sometimes thought of this, then he will also give a different view. Kant is sometimes thought of as a formalist in art theory. I don't know what is meaning of formalist. That is to say, then he is explaining what does it mean. Someone who thinks the content of work of art is not of aesthetic interest. So now I know the meaning of formalist. Formalist means someone who believes that content is not required when you are looking at aesthetics. Okay, fine. But this is only part of the story, which is the only part of the story, that he is formalist. I said that he will use but somewhere, so here is the bus. But this is only part of the story. Certainly, he was a formalist about the pure enjoyment of nature, but for Kant, most of the art was impure. So he says that for Kant, most of the art was impure. That is important because they involved a concept. Why? Because they involved a concept. So he says that for Kant, there was a relationship between concept and impurity of art. Even the enjoyment of parts of nature was impure, namely when a concept. Again, he has used example. He has used a lot of example to explain the things. He's trying to explain a theory proposed by Kant, and he's giving a lot of examples. So now we can understand what kind of attitude he has. All right. But our enjoyment, for instance, again an example. For instance, again an example, right? For instance, this I can skip it. Is it once again it is given as an example, and then it continues. You look, there are so many examples. Again, then he has used examples of pebbles to explain the things. So if we move ahead and see what Kant believed, it also talks about, but our enjoyment, for instance, the arbitrary abstract patterns in some foliage or color field was, according to Kant, absent of such concepts. Okay, in such cases, the cognitive powers were in free play. So when there is absence of concept, the cognitive powers are in free play. And when there is a concept, there is impurity. Something of that sort is being said. By design, art may sometime obtain the appearance of this freedom. It was then fine art. So when by design, when the art does not have any concept in it, we call it as fine art. But for Kant, not all art had this quality. That means not all art were free of concept. In all, Kant's theory of pure beauty had four aspects. Now we have talked about the four aspects, not required. Then at the end, there is the example about the pebbles, that how we look at the pebbles. See here, by concept, Kant means and purpose. That is what the cognitive power of human understanding and imagination judge applies to an object, such as with it is a pebble, to take an instance. Again, to take an instance example. But when no definite concept is involved, as with the scattered pebbles on beach, the cognitive powers are held to be in free play. So again, this is explanation. The pebbles example is an explanation of what is mentioned earlier. So in some art, there is concept, and there are times when there is no concept involved. So when there is no concept involved, like in the case of scattered pebbles, the cognitive powers are held to be in free play. The cognitive powers are free. That means whatever you are sensing is free. And during this time, we say that you are experiencing a pure beauty. So this is the gist of the passage. The entire thing boils down to this: what Kant believed about the pure art. There are two things: some arts have concept, some does not have the concept. So when it has concept, what happens? When it does not have concept, what happens? Now, just to illustrate more, what I have done, if you see, I have removed all the parts which are not required for me to get to the main idea. So the entire beginning was only, if you see till this point, the beginning, only 1 or 2 line were of importance. Important thing began from here when Kant was introduced and what was his view. And even in that particular area, if I focus on this part, this particular range, I see that I get the what is the theory of aesthetics by Kant. Now this is example of his theory. That is it. That is what was required. Now we know the question was asked about what Immanuel Kant did not believe. So that was the first question. Let us go to the question. According to the information given in the passage, each of the following is an accurate statement about Kant's theory of art, except, so three are right, one is wrong. I have to identify the one wrong. That most of the art was impure, that the enjoyment of arts was impure, that all art was not free from purpose, that even abstract art was impure. Now if you read the four options, passage doesn't even talk about abstract art, right? You can argue and say that fine, it has talked about fine art, so on and so forth, but if I look at it, this automatically clicks as an option which the passage doesn't even talk about. So this should be the answer. The other three passage has talked about. I mean, if you look at all three, you will find them. Let me show you. So I will just erase entire thing once again. This is one. Enjoyment of parts of nature was impure. Most of the arts were impure. And this, not all art had this quality. What quality? That they are free from concept. So all these three things are given. So answer is option number 4. Which one of the following statement about scattered pebbles is best supported by the information in the passage? So scattered pebble was used as an example of something, isn't it? So there was a theoretical thing, and as for example of, as an example of this scattered pebble was used. So the pebbles involve a free play of cognition, looks a very good option, because there was something mentioned as scattered pebbles involve free play of cognition. The pebbles represent an aspect of true beauty. Yes, it was also mentioned. The pebbles best exemplify the appreciation of true beauty. All right. The pebbles characterize one's inner beauty. Now, this definitely is not the answer. I can clearly remove this, that this is definitely not the answer. Now, if I look at B and C, what's the difference? The pebbles represent an aspect of true beauty. The pebbles exemplify the appreciation of true beauty. Now, I know that it has been used as an example. So I will eliminate that out of B and C. C looks a better choice to me. C looks a better choice to me, that the pebbles best exemplify rather than representing. Okay, so according to me, the answer should be either A or C, because A, the pebbles involve a free play of cognition. I remember that it was mentioned somewhere. Let me go back and check that entire line. Okay, so it's here. But when no definite concept is involved, normally if I read, I will remove this, because this was used as an example. The question is on example, that is a different thing. But when no definite concept is involved, the cognitive powers are held to be in free play. So cognitive powers are held to be in free play when no concept is involved. A scattered pebble was just used as an example of this. The first option is a scrambled option, which says that scrambled pebbles involve this. No. When there is no definite concept, cognitive powers are held to be in free play, as in the case of scattered pebbles. And when this happens, when you are looking at scattered pebbles in that manner, it is when this play is harmonious that there is experience of pure beauty. So all I can say is that scattered pebble is an example of true beauty, appreciation of true beauty. This is a scrambled option. If you know what is scrambled means, that all the things are mentioned in the passage, but they are not coherent in nature. The pebbles involve a free play of cognition. No, the pebbles don't involve free play of cognition. Pebbles are just exemplifying free play of cognition. So there is difference between involved as and used as an example, right? So that's why answer is option number C, but a very close A and C, very close option, right? Next, which one of the following is primary purpose of the passage? So what is the primary purpose? Primary purpose is the main idea, and main idea I will always say what is the content and what is the author's opinion on that content. All right. So the main content is about the uh, theory of aesthetics or beauty, and Kant's view on that, and author has explained that. So what has author tried to do? To determine an argument, okay, to attempt an explanation of an occurrence, of one occurrence, to attempt an explanation of an occurrence. No, he has not discussed one occurrence and tried to explain it. To outline an assumption. There was no such thing as assumption. It's actually a theoretical thing that has been explained. And trust me, when we were reading, if you remember, there were a lot of for instances, for example. So he has given example. Whenever there are a lot of examples, author is trying to explain something. So again, this is not the answer. To strengthen studies and various findings. There is no mention of the studies and various findings. So this can't be the answer. Answer has to be A. I have eliminated the other three and saying that A is the answer. This is out of purview. Both, I mean, B, C, and D, all are out of purview. Okay. For the author's attitude as it revealed in the language used, one is. So what is the author's attitude? Admiration? No, he has not admired Kant. He simply discussed about it. Criticism? No, he has not criticized. Exploratory or reasoning? Now, if we look at the passage, everything has been explained through examples, through logic. So that is why answer is reasoning and not exploratory in nature. So answer is reasoning here, because author has given logic for everything. Whatever he is saying, he has given a lot of examples of whatever thing he is saying. Last, cognitive in the last paragraph means the process of getting awareness through knowledge looks a good option. The process of obtaining knowledge through experience and senses looks a better option, because the passage does talk about the experience and senses more than knowledge. The process of holding firmly together and forming a whole, definitely not the answer, because passage doesn't even talk about C. Similarly, the passage doesn't even talk about D. So these two are not the answer. Now, cognitive in the last paragraph means the process of getting awareness through knowledge, or the process of obtaining knowledge through experience and senses. Let us go and check where the cognitive was mentioned. Here is it. Here it is. But when no definite concept is involved, the cognitive powers are held to be in free play. And it is when this play, which play? The cognitive powers play, is harmonious, that there is experience of pure beauty. So when cognitive power is playing freely, you experience pure beauty. So what should be the answer? You have got the answer now, I'm sure. Answer is option number B. Right. So this is it. This was a very difficult passage, and if somebody has got 3 out of 5, that's a wonderful job. But the main point why I picked up this passage to discuss is to tell you that how to deal with difficult passages. If you read it once, you read the questions. If you find that questions are something that you can handle, you know the areas from which questions have been picked, please do attempt it. If you can understand the main idea of the difficult passage, then you can solve the questions, trust me. And to identify the main idea of the passage, you can clear the mess. Unnecessary things that are being discussed, just remove them. All right. So that is it for today. I hope that you learned few things on how to solve the difficult passages. Thanks. Bye.